watchers. In this experimental video I'm going to try to tell you something more about brewing. So there are several steps. First, milling the grain. Second, mash conversion. Third, lautering. Fourth, boil. Fifth, wort separation and cooling. Sixth, maturation. And seventh, filtration, carbonation, and cellaring. I'm not going to say much about long history of beer making, except it's one of the oldest drinks human have produced, dating back to, at least, the 5th millennium before Christ. It was recorded in the written history of ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. The first recorded indications of beer are from ancient Mesopotamia, where clay tablets, with cuneiform writing, informed scholars of the importance of beer to the people's daily lives. It was considered equal only to bread making, and was done primarily by women. Oh, just go home. Anyway, let's proceed. Beginning in the brew house, different types of malt are crushed together, mostly barley, to break up the grain kernels in order to extract fermentable sugars to produce a milled product, called grist. We can soak barley in water, and then crush it, which is being used in modern beer facilities, and represent wet milling procedure, or we can crush in its dry form. The grist is then transferred into a mash tun, where it is mixed with heated water in a process called mash conversion. The conversion process uses natural enzymes in the malt, to break the malt starch down into sugars. It's important to mention that there are two common procedures of mash conversion. One is being called infusion, and the other one is called decoction. Infusion is used to get high maltose yield, and its purpose is providing wort for making strong beers. Applying the infusion, we get lighter colored beer, with softer hop aroma. We're gonna miss out decoction from this video. The mash is then pumped into the lauter tun, where a sweet liquid, known as wort, is separated from the grain husks. The wort is then collected in a vessel called a kettle, where it is brought to a controlled boil before the hops are added. The reason for this is that the hops contain compounds, which can be extracted only in high temperatures. After boiling, the wort is transferred into a whirlpool for the wort separation stage. During this stage, any malt or hop particles are removed, to leave a liquid that is ready to be cooled and fermented. To start the fermentation, yeast is added during the filling of the vessel. Yeast converts the sugary wort into beer by producing alcohol, a wide range of flavors, and carbon dioxide that is being used later in the process to give the beer its sparkle. Finally, after fermentation, the young, green beer needs to be matured in order to allow both a full development of flavors and a smooth finish. So, to explain why yeast actually are making alcohol, we need to understand anaerobic respiration. We have two types of respiration: aerobic, which means in the presence of oxygen, and anaerobic, without oxygen. When we eat, the food, carbohydrates, are catabolized, degraded, to glucose, simple sugar. Glucose is then degraded across many bioreactions to pyruvate. So I guess, for you to fully understand this, you would need to understand electron transport chain, but it is much complex to explain all of this in this video, or I am just too lazy to do it. Anyway, what you need to know is, without the presence of oxygen, pyruvate is degraded differently. In animals it is degraded to lactic acid. Think of lactic acid as gas car reserve. You know that gas lamp, blinking in your car, screams, no gas. Lactic acid screams, no oxygen. So therefore the explanation of faster breathing after we run, or sprint. We can't even talk, because we have used up all of our oxygen and, in one moment decided to sacrifice our oxygen supply, to get more extra energy. We changed our breathing mode to anaerobic and decided to get more extra energy. The side effect of that decision is building lactic acid in our muscles, as that lactic acid could be degraded only with oxygen. Therefore we breathe more faster after running to degrade that lactic acid built up in our muscles. So how this has to do with yeast? Well, they can do aerobic respiration too, except when they run out of oxygen, and go to anaerobic state. They have the ability to create alcohol called ethanol, and carbon dioxide. So they eat sugar that we prepared from barley, and breathe until they run out of oxygen, or we can just take oxygen away from them and boom. They go to anaerobic breathing mode and make us some alcohol until it kills them like lactic acid would kill us. So basically, we are suffocating yeast to make beer. Hume alone is an alpha acid, and one of the major flavor components of hops. Chemistry of beer often concerns the reactions of molecules such as this, and how to better control them. For better flavor, the required amount of hops depends on the type of beer we are making. It goes around 100 to 500 grams per hectoliter of beer to ensure the bitterness of the beer is at a constant level all the time. We calculate the rate of consumption of hops, which is based on the content of bitter compounds. We can see here the formula, called Wolmer's formula. The alpha represents the amount of Hume alone, in percent, which we have mentioned before, and beta, which represents lupulone, the beta acid, and soft resin percentage. So we can make our own programs to calculate for us all those things we need to get to fine, tasty beer. Here, for example, we can calculate water strike, or heat rate, or hop consumption, and many other things we need. So, we conclude, the beer really is a great topic to talk about, that includes a bunch of science and examinations to know. So I hope this video will raise your interest for brewing, and make you think about how complex is that thing you drink every now and then, and yet, not knowing how much life there is to it. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and like it. There will be a lot more videos coming. See you soon. Farewell, watchers.